Hi. So we are going to try to solve this equation. And first thing you might notice is, wow, that has a lot of different variables, b, m, z, and r, all in the same equation. So normally when we've been solving equations, it just has one variable like x or something like that. Here, there's so many different variables, so you have to pay attention to which variable you're supposed to solve for. And it says right here, you're supposed to solve for b. So this is what we're trying to get by itself. At the end of the problem, we want to have like b equals and then something. Normally when we've been solving equations, whatever the variable equals was like a number, like b equals 2, or something like that. But here it's not. It's going to be an expression, and that expression is going to contain r and z and m and the number 2, at least, and maybe something other operations like pluses and minuses and stuff. Okay, so let's get started. Since we're trying to solve for b, when we list the build and undo steps, we're going to start from b. Okay, so b is how we're building it. And you know that b, or building and undoing, will work because the variable b only appears once in this problem. If we also had a b over here, you couldn't do build and undo because you're starting from b, but you don't know if you're starting from this b or that b. So you couldn't use build and undo in that problem, but you can here. So we'll start from b, and so we're just going to say what operations are applying to the b first. And so b is, you could say b is multiplied by 2, and b is multiplied and then multiplied by m. But you know what? It's a lot easier if instead of saying b is multiplied by 2 and then by m, if you just put those together and say it's multiplied by 2m. That's the same thing as saying times 2 and times m. Okay? So we have the b times 2 and m, and then we're going to do the plus z here, and then the square root sign, and now we've built up the expression. This is the letter z. Okay, so let's undo it. So to undo squaring the square root, we will square both sides, and then we will subtract z, and then for the times 2m, we will divide by 2m. And we'll divide by both of them at the same time. We'll just put 2m underneath in the denominator. Okay, let's do it. And so at the end, we should end up with b by itself. Okay, let's give it a shot. So our first operation to do on both sides is squaring both sides. Okay, so then here you have r squared, and the square and square root cancel each other out. So we just have 2bm plus z. We did this step. Now we'll do minus z. And those cancel out because it makes 0. So you have 2bm equals, and on this side, this is a little different from what we've done in the past. R squared minus z, these two terms, they're not like terms because they have different variables, r and z. So we don't simplify it, we just copy it down. R squared minus z. So it's actually easier because you don't need a calculator. You don't do it, you just copy it. Okay. So now we did the minus z, and so we will do the divide by 2m. That's the step here. So we'll divide by 2m on both sides. And so 2 divided by 2, that just makes 1. M divided by m, that just makes 1. So what we have here is like 1 times b times 1. It's like 1 times b times 1. But that's just going to be 1b, which is just b. So we just write b equals, and here this is basically our answer. There we are. That's it.